Welcome to Behind the Sign Podcast. It's your girl Shawnte, the Realtor.
And Courtney here to give you all the deets on what goes on behind the sign.
Yes. And we are so excited to share with you on today's episode, buyer representation. We are so glad that you decided to tune in with us for another week.
Yes, we are here to give you some really good information out there on what you as a consumer that is ready to purchase a home need to have, from the why, the what, and the how, to protecting your asset, to giving you all the education and just everything that you need to know to make sure that you don't let anyone convince you that you don't need representation when you're purchasing a home.
Definitely. Having representation is a big thing. So big, they changed the law to have representation. Yeah. That's how big it is. And it's very important. So we are so excited to get down and dirty, talk these deeds, and let you know the tea on what it means to get representation here in Texas.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's go ahead and talk about that law, since that's one of the biggest things that that goes hand in hand with having buyer representation. So before, it wasn't really an exclusive thing to have a buyer representation agreement signed for consumers to go out and look at homes that they want to purchase, etc. But now the National Association of Realtors passed a law last year making it mandatory for anyone that wants to see a home in Texas to have a buyer representation agreement signed. So us as realtors, that changed our business tremendously, well, with the exception of the people that were already doing it, because I know for myself, whenever I would take a buyer out, it was mandatory for me to make sure that not only my client is protected, but that I'm protected during the process of showing those homes. So yes, National Association of Realtors passed that law last year, and we don't have a choice. You have to sign that representation if you want to tour properties.
Totally. And the representation has actually in Texas kind of been a big thing. Really not. When the law initially changed, I believe it was August 17th, 2024. I had that in all my signed doc reps, so I know the date. When that really happened initially, we thought everyone was nervous and they were like, it's going to be so different. And then it happened kind of like, the new millennium, when you thought it was going to blow up and everybody's going down. And then we realized, it's business as usual, kind of, sort of, because most people in Texas have already been doing it. Yeah. So when you're already doing it, not a lot really changed at the moment.
It becomes easier, really.
Correct. It actually became a great tool for us as agents to be able to use to make sure that it sticks with, no matter what. So that became a really cool thing. And just knowing the laws, it was things that were happening outside of Texas. It was really only about 7 to 9 states that were not, it was not enforced, so to speak. So, hey, things happen, laws change all the time, as we know. And the one thing about, today we're talking about the buyer representation agreement and why having buyer representation matters. That form alone has changed so many times. We just got a new updated document just recently, and it constantly is changing. And if you're not with a good agent that is knowing those documents, using the correct forms, and being able to educate you and others on what that document actually means, you can find yourself in a pickle.
Yes, these are legally binding documents that people don't really understand. And so you want to make sure that you have someone that can thoroughly explain that process to you from start to finish, and as a consumer, you always have the right to hire an attorney anytime you have, confusion or questions about any of the forms that a realtor presents to you for representation. And at the end of the day, these aren't our forms. These are not our broker's forms. Right. These are the Texas Real Estate Commission mandated documents that we have to provide to consumers to be able to have representation. And honestly, it's a good thing. At the end of the day, it really protects you as the buyer, and then also the ones that are representing you as you are making that golden purchase to purchase that house.
Agreed.
All right, so let's talk about the why, the who. Well, we talked about the why, but let's talk about the who. I think it's extremely important to choose and select your realtor with caution. While there's so many people out here practicing real estate, and we know that the industry is super saturated, it's important to choose a realtor that, one, you can trust, and two, that really has your back. Because at the end of the day, we know what this business can give, we know what it yields, and we want to make sure that you as a consumer choose someone that's going to take you through the process from start to finish. And so that you're not like a deer in headlights, or you're not in the gray about what's going on. So choosing that person is just uber important, and you want to make sure that you choose wisely. And it's okay to interview different people. A lot of times there's this myth out there that, hey, well, my cousin's a realtor, or my sister's a realtor, or whatever. And while that's fine, because family can be very, very dicey and, catty. So, I get it. I have family and friends, and, but you definitely want to make sure that you're choosing the correct realtor. Sometimes you want to make sure that you don't have those blurred lines and things like that. So very important to make sure that you choose wisely when choosing someone to help you purchase that asset.
Definitely. And to add on to that, even when choosing an agent, I would definitely recommend making sure that you are having a real buyer's consultation with that agent. If you're not doing that and just saying, wake up and I have an agent, do you have an agent?
Right.
Is the
not
question.
Knowing anything.
Right. I mean, it's very important, and I promise you, it could sound redundant. I am always going to do a buyer consultation, even if you bought a home 5 times. I get it. You know this. You're a veteran. I still want to go over the process to be sure that we are clear, especially if you're not a repeat client, and someone that is new with working with each one of us. You still want to know what that process is going to look like, because as I mentioned before in the last previous video, no deal is the same because no person is the same. So you want to have all of the information, the process that is going to be to purchase this particular home that you're seeking at this particular time in your life. And you want to make sure you partner with someone who is going to take the time to explain every step of the way. Because that is our job, is to be the driver. We're in the driver's seat, and our job is to get you all the way to the finish line, safe and sound, with no scratches or bruises. Now you might,
with as less stress as possible. That is always the goal. There's going to be some emotions in there, and as you should. This process is kind of like a roller coaster. But that's why, again, going back to selecting the right realtor to make sure that they can get you from start to finish and ease you through those feelings. Like, it's natural to have, fears and, doubts and excitement and love and all these different things. But that's why we're here.
Managing expectations. If we don't have the conversation with you and give you the blueprint of even what that looks like, then you don't know what's a big deal or what's not. I mean, you might be calm on situations that it's kind of a big deal, or you might be wigging out on a particular situation that's really not that serious, so it's our job to kind of set the expectations, manage your expectations, meet you in the middle, and be there for you every single step of the way.
Absolutely, 100% agree with that.
Yes.
All right, so let's talk about some benefits that buyers can look forward to when they have representation. So, tons of benefits. One, you get someone that is going to educate you throughout the process. Again, buying a house, if can be one of the single most important things that a person can do in their life, and so you want to make sure that you have someone that's going to educate you through the process. One of the things that I talk with my buyers about, and that I state in my buyer's consultation, is I want to make sure that I'm going to save you every single penny that I can possibly save you when you're out purchasing your house. So that's looking into different programs that you may qualify for, whether you're a first-time home buyer, you're a veteran. There's different programs out there for that. We have hometown hero programs where it focuses on people that are in the medical field, education, things like that. And so as a consumer, you may not be privy to that information off the bat, but having a realtor that has that information that can provide to you is a huge benefit, because you might not know about that can save you money at the closing table. So my goal is always to make sure that I'm saving you every single penny, and you want to make sure that you have someone that can help you with that.
Totally agree. I mean, the thing is, if you can come to the closing with no money or a little money, I mean, I've had a closing where my buyer got a check back. Now, granted, that was only once, but that's my story, and I'm gonna tell it because it happened. And the cool thing is, it's so many different programs, new programs that come out. There's so many things that's always happening. And when you have a trusted agent representing you, they're going to do the work to try to find how they can help you save money, where you can cut costs. We already have relationships with many of the vendors and so forth like that. We want to make sure that you get the best product for the best price. So we're going to always go above and beyond. And during the time that we're working together in this buying process, we're besties. I mean, we're besties.
Kind of married in a sense.
We go together. That's typically
together.
What I always say when we sign. I say, well, we go together. I'm not a crazy one, but we go together. So we're gonna be up close and personal. I want you to be honest about how you feel in all of the situations. But our job is to manage, as I said before, the expectations of the process, but at the same time, come up with the solutions as well that's going to help you navigate to win and come out feeling on top. There's a bold law, or one of our mission statements that we have here is say win-win or no deal.
Yeah.
That's real, and I totally believe in that. And that's not just here. That's any offer that we submit. If I'm representing the buyer, we submit an offer. On the other side, win-win or no deal.
Okay.
You don't need to be an agent at my office, because many times we're working with other agents from everywhere, all different brokerages. We all are community. So having good relationships, having an agent that knows how to communicate properly with another agent to be able to get this deal done and sealed is super important. So having the best representation and a realtor that's going to go to bat for you, learn how to communicate. Everyone communicate differently on the other side. Some people answer the phone, some people don't.
Right.
What are you going to do about that? Are you going to say, well, forget them because they not? No, your buyer loves the house. We got to figure it out. So that's what we're going to do. And that's why good representation matters. And that's why, for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely the why. Let's take just one quick minute to talk about another huge benefit to hiring a realtor to help you purchase a home. And this is, I think, a myth that has been going out there for many years. And I'm really honestly just shocked to still see it to this day. There's different ways that you can purchase a home. You can either purchase a resale home, or you can purchase a new construction home, and other different ways. But I want to specifically talk about new construction.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people say, oh, well, I don't need a realtor. I'll just go out here to this new build community, and they already have, sales agents that are in the office, and I can just talk to them and work my deal and things like that. And what buyers fail to realize is that when you go into those model homes and those sales agents are sitting in the office, they represent the seller. And that's even on transactions that are resale. That seller is going to have representation on their side. So new construction is the same thing. Those sales agents, although they're very friendly, and we love our sales agents, we love our new construction sales agents, you definitely want to make sure that you have representation, because we want to make sure as your realtor on the buy side that you're getting deals that you may not, readily know about. So for example, hey, what are the incentives that you guys are running? What appliance packages or different deals can my buyer take advantage of? Can we take, some money off of the price of this house? Those are just, simple random questions that, the consumer may not ordinarily ask, but it's important because we want you to know that you can ask those questions. And also just allowing the experts, the realtors, to go out there and to negotiate on your behalf. Again, we want to make this process as seamless as possible. And we want to make sure that when you're going in to purchase this asset, that you're not completely overwhelmed and or missing something, when you can make sure that you have everything possible at your disposal.
I totally agree, Courtney. I'm so glad you brought that up, because a lot of people don't think sometimes that, if they go new construction, they don't even know where all the time. But here's the thing: many new construction and new community places, they partner with realtors for a reason, because we bring the value. They are not looking to do our job in this process. They are, as Courtney mentioned, they work for the builder. They are the builder is the seller. So everything that they're going to do is in the light and in the is all focused in the benefit of the seller.
Yeah.
So you have to remember that, and our job as an agent, especially, and I help a lot of buyers get into new construction because I like to get them perks and negotiate perks. And a lot of times we get a lot of additional perks based on our relationships, based on what we know. They're like, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, we're going to add this, I'll go ahead and give the X and Y, I'll go ahead and do this. All of that's done based off of the relationships that we have with those builders. So why would you leave that on the table, walk in, I like this, sign, and get something just at the face value of what it is? Because that's just a walk-in customer that, hey, I don't really have to do all the extra stuff. You like it, you want it, this is the price, here you go.
And they're not gonna tell you about all the extra things that you could get, if you didn't have the representation. Again, to ask the right questions. And that's where we come in to educate you and make sure that you guys are getting every single thing that you can possibly get.
It's so much stuff to get, guys, and we definitely don't want you to miss out. I mean, the sky's the limit, but you don't know the limit because, if you're not an agent or a realtor, you're not supposed to know. Right. That's just the reality. But partner, everyone has a role, and having a trusted person to step into their role to represent you as a buyer matters. I mean, because you should have your own representation. I've had people contact me before and say, oh, well, I called them and they was like, they won't answer me and they won't do this, and I asked them that, and I'm like, yeah, they're not gonna do that because they don't work for you. They work for the seller. So if you want these answers and
these benefits,
you're going to have to get representation, to have someone to put on their gloves and put on their boots and go to work for you.
And here's a good segue into that. And this is something that Shawnte does a couple times a year. It's an event called the Houston Plug. Let your realtor be the plug for you. We want to make sure that we can get you connected in all ways possible.
Definitely. Hey, I love to plug up some things and listen. We're gonna definitely keep you plugged into the right moves, the right decisions, and guide you to make the best decisions that's gonna work for you. Because again, everyone has different goals. Everyone wants to do different things, and our job is to make sure you get there, feel good, feel represented in that process.
Absolutely. Completely agree.
Yes.
All right.
All right. So let's talk about what the losses. What happens if you don't get an agent? Basically, what I just mentioned a second ago.
Pretty much.
Not premature, I guess, because listen, if you decide to do it yourself, you've seen that episode on what is it, the Cliff Huxtable, when he was always fixing things and he didn't want to call the electrician, and he was, I got it. And then later he had to call the electrician. Sometimes it can cost you money.
That's the biggest thing. It's costing you money that you could have pocketed and used for many other things.
Yes. And you would rather, even for a simple situation, before you even get pre-approved, sometimes people like to do certain level of pre-work thinking, I need to do this, I need to pay that, I got to do this, I got to do that. And I many times I always like to see the full picture before you do something that actually can hurt you. Sometimes people would say, they want to hire a credit person and remove all these things and remove, fight. And this is really one of the biggest reasons why before people make moves, whether I even have an idea of what I think is not real. What you think is not real. Let the facts be the facts. So you would have to submit an application once we choose a lender that you want to partner with in the process. Let's see the full report before you go removing everything. Because a lot of times, and I've seen this happen in a couple of situations where people have all these removals, then the lender is saying, well, really, we can't trust you because are you going to go fight me? I mean, not really me, but fight the company and get this removed because you don't want to pay this or pay that. So that's why it's very important to have a trusted agent by your side to work through the process. Again, no deal is the same. No person is the same. No person's profile is the same. So you want to figure out what's going to be the best fit for you. Otherwise, you can put yourself in a pickle. You would say, oh my gosh, I just paid $10,000 to pay that off. Yeah, why did you do that? You didn't need to do that. You could have bought some new furniture instead. But that part.
And I agree. And I mean, just kind of really touching back base on that and just extending that. I just recently had a conversation with a buyer, actually two different buyers, and just really kind of explaining the difference between, let's just use the example of purchasing a house versus getting a car. One of the things that I can say is most people can get a car. You can go to pretty much any dealership and get a car. They're going to write that contract up and write that deal up and make sure that you get in that car some kind of way. Getting a house is very different. And the lenders look at a different platform. Although credit is the same, they look at a different platform in terms of getting you qualified for that house. So going back to what she's saying, as far as, not paying a credit repair person to wipe off everything, another thing that people have to consider is, they think, oh, well, I need to, wipe all these credit cards off, zero them out and close them. That is the worst thing that you can do as a consumer trying to buy a house. Do not close your credit cards. Do not completely wipe them out. What you need to do is get them under that 17% threshold of credit usage on the credit cards. And a lot of times people don't really know that. So when you hire the realtor and we're going through that education process, And it may not be the initial buyer consultation, but we may talk about that in next steps in terms of, things that you can do to help boost your credit if your credit is lower, and also just what to expect, on the financing side. So it's definitely important to just make sure that you guys have all of that information, because a lot of times people don't know. And another thing, before we switch on to the next topic, another myth is, oh, well, I have all these student loans, I can't get a house. False. False, false, false. You can absolutely get a house with student loans, because the reality is that 90 to 95% of the people in the United States,
I was gonna say, everybody got a student loan,
including myself. We all have student loans. So a lender is going to take that in consideration, but the only thing that's going to put you out of purchasing a house if you have student loans is if you're in default. If you're in default, if you're negative on your student loans, if there's something like that, then it's fine. You can have your student loans and still be able to qualify for a house. The lender looks at other different, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole on this, but the lender looks at other different aspects of your debt and compare that to your income. So just keep that in mind, guys. And we'll talk about that in another episode, but I just wanted to make that point real clear.
Definitely.
All right, so we're going to come into an end of this episode, and just protecting yourself and protecting your future asset. And it really kind of just goes hand in hand with everything we've covered so far, with choosing your realtor wisely, why you need a realtor, and how you can do that. And if there's a realtor that you're eyeballing, or again, we always like to say, if you're not choosing us, just make sure to choose wisely. But setting up that call, setting up that consultation, asking all the questions, and it's really just kind of easy as 1, 2, 3 in terms of getting the process started. So
I agree. You just definitely, as Courtney said, want to protect yourself in whatever decision you decide to do. Purchasing a house is a big deal, whether it's your first time, second, third, fourth, whatever. It all matters. And you just want to make sure you have the trusted agent that's going to be there to walk you each step of the way. Many times with my clients, I like them to be my forever clients, and because we grow together, helping people grow their portfolio. The first house is not going to look like the second house. The second house is not going to be like the third house. If you start doing duplexes and all of that, it's not always going to be the same. The numbers, once you start crossing over into becoming an investor, the numbers matter. How much, this house needs to be, how much the rental comps need to be. All of these things matter. So you definitely want to have an in-depth conversation with the agent that you are pursuing, so you can figure out what's going to be the next step for you to get the perfect home that's going to work out for you, and what to do with the market shifting. Here's the thing. Right now, let's just talk about it. It is a buyer's market. Now, does it feel like a buyer's market to buyers? It depends It depends on which buyer you're talking to. It's not 3%. It's not 2.8%. That was a whole other storyline in 2020.
And it was unrealistic for the economy, to be clear.
Because guess what? Somebody have to pay for that. And it's called you. You, me, her, everybody. There's nothing free in America. Nothing. Things are being transferred to different things in different places. You just need to know how to move in these places. In my opinion, right now, the market is leveled out. It's a buyer's market because right now you can get homes at prices not fully pre-pandemic, but close to it. There are homes that you can get in, even at this point, under $200,000. Yeah. That was pre-pandemic prices, actually.
Depending on the area, absolutely.
Depending on the area. So they have so many different things that they have to offer you, but you have to move wisely, because a lot of times everyone, like in pandemic times, the reason the prices went up is because everybody was raising their hand up at the same time. And we all know what happens when everyone raises their hands. It's called the prices go up. And that's where the shift happens. I mean, real estate is all about shifts. Prices go up, they go down, they go level. You have to decide, when do you want to purchase a home? When they're going up, when they're going down, when they level. That all matters in the price of your home. Many times people think, oh, I'm going to buy it this time, but you have to, the longer you wait, many times you're going to pay more than you would have paid when you could have bought a house previously because of the market, how it shifts.
Right.
So yeah, just having a great realtor and agent by your side to help you work through all the scenarios, that's going to help get you to the other side of getting those keys to your perfect home. That's our job. And choosing the right one matters.
I completely agree. And I always like to say, people always ask, when is the right time to buy a house? Anytime. It all depends on when you're ready and your preparation. Anytime is the right time to buy a house. Let's go ahead and end the podcast, Shawnte. I like to say, buyers, like she said, we're besties. We go together, all that good stuff. And, one of the things that I love sharing with my buyers is, once we close, when's the house warming? When can I come see you, what you've done with the house, the decorations, etc. So I love to make sure that I keep that relationship going, because at the end of the day, we've spent a lot of time together to get you in this house. And we want to make sure that, even after you close, there's different things that we can help you as a realtor to make sure that you stay on target and on point and educated as you go throughout this home buying journey. So we thank you guys so much for joining us on this episode of Behind the Sign.
Yes.
Make sure that you click like and subscribe.
Definitely.
And we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.